some interesting words from Purdue basketball coach Matt Painter about the upcoming Indiana head coaching job opening as Mike Woodson's about to step down. I'll take care of that in a minute. But on yesterday's Lockdown Big Ten, we talked about Nebraska football. And after it canceled its spring game, it also canceled its home with Tennessee. A lot of fans were upset about it. A lot of fans on both sides, by the way, Nebraska and Tennessee. But former Huskers player and former NFL player Will Compton tweeted out a response on X. He said, "Beating Tennessee does nothing for us. We play in the hardest conference in college football, and we have 9 conference games a year. We don't need a Tennessee W to accomplish what we need to accomplish. Go Big Red," quote unquote. Interesting thought. Interesting thought. If you missed everything we said about Nebraska and canceling this home with Tennessee, I thought we had some interesting angles on it. It was on yesterday's podcast. We'll go check it out for a second listen as soon as you're done here today. Now, on to hoops. Following Purdue men's basketball team's loss to Indiana on Sunday, Boilermaker coach Matt Painter had a lot to say in his post-game interview, in which his team lost a 12-point lead at the half and only scored 21 points the rest of the way in the second half. Remarkable. Purdue's one of the best offenses in the country. They're top 10 offense easily. And they could not get anything going in the paint against the Hoosiers. And Painter, one of the best coaches out there, he couldn't believe his team's lack of concentration in that particular environment as well. I know it's loud at Assembly Hall and it's crazy, but he's got numerous players that have played hundreds of college basketball games, including a Final Four last year. So nothing should faze this team, but they just did not play well, and he was very disappointed in them. But he also talked about the coaching situation at Indiana, as Mike Woodson will be stepping down after this season. First of all, he says he always wants to beat Woodson, wants to beat Indiana, wants to beat everybody. By the way, in the 4 years that Woodson's been a head coach, they split. They're 8 games, 4-4. This is at a time when Purdue's been playing some of the best basketball in school history. And anyway, so good job by Mike Woodson for splitting the series at 4-4 before he heads on out. And Painter went on to, he was critical of Indiana fans. Should be careful. But he says, look, there's a faction of rabid IU fans. And you talk about the extreme ones on social media and Twitter. And those are the ones that praise you when you win, but then they just shred you apart when you lose. He's not wrong. I saw a lot of this myself. And I always felt bad because I feel like Indiana owes Woodson a nice send-off. He's a former player there. Did a lot for that school. But he has received a lot of negative attention, social media and all that kind of stuff. But Painter says that some people in all fan bases just need to chill out. He says the real fans are the ones that support you win or lose. I also heard the question when a reporter asked the question, and I believe it was his intent to get a different kind of response, grab a bit of a headline and go another direction, but Matt Painter didn't bite because he's a smart guy. I asked him about the job opening in Indiana. You're asking the Purdue coach about the upcoming job opening at Indiana. And I know that this writer or reporter wanted to see if we could get a headline about Painter, if he would ever even consider leaving Purdue to go to Indiana. I mean, these are fierce rivals back and forth. So let me just say right now, he would not do that. He would not. Some people have speculated about it. Look, I know Scott Dolson, the athletic director at Indiana, has a great deal of respect for Matt Painter. And I know Matt Painter has respect for Dolson. It's mutual, no doubt about it. He's not leaving the Purdue job to take the Indiana job. I don't care how much money they would throw at him. But the background for the question is interesting because Painter, he's from Indiana, and he was an Indiana Hoosier fan growing up as a boy in Indiana. His brother went to Indiana. Painter wanted to play at Indiana. He wanted to play for legendary basketball coach Bob Knight. However, when it came time for recruitment, Knight wanted Painter to do an extra year after high school of prep school first, just to buy him another year, kind of an unofficial red shirt, get bigger, stronger, older, if you will. And Painter didn't want to do that at the time. He also realized that had he done that and then come to Indiana, he probably wouldn't have been able to crack that lineup. That's what he said. So instead, he went to go play for the other legendary coach in the state at the time, Gene Cady, at Purdue. And then later it worked out because he joined Katie's staff as an assistant. And then when Katie retired, everybody was impressed with Matt Painter, as they should have been. And he just took over. It was a seamless transition. I mean, think about all the coaches Indiana has had since Bob Knight left. I mean, they're still trying to figure it out. When Gene Katie left, Matt Painter took over, and he's still there. Smooth. Been very successful. So I done an outstanding job out there in West Lafayette, and he can and probably will coach there for the rest of his career. I mean, you never hear a peep about other schools trying to lure him away or whatever. But he's just not going anywhere. He's just not. He could. I mean, if he ever left Purdue, he'd get a job in a heartbeat. So, but no, Painter is not going to be taking over the Indiana coaching job next year. It's just not going to happen. Speaking of basketball, men's basketball, Tuesday night, tonight, we got Northwestern at Minnesota. That's a 7 o'clock game. First game of a Peacock doubleheader, if I'm streaming. And then Washington is at number 11, Wisconsin. That's a 9 o'clock game Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific on Peacock. And Wisconsin is reeling a little bit from their overtime loss to Oregon over the weekend. Oregon hit an amazing 3 to send it into overtime, and then Wisconsin lost the game in overtime. Also, we have Iowa at Illinois. That is at 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Pacific. FS1. Illinois, man, injuries and illness, and then an embarrassment. They lost by 43 points to Duke this weekend at Madison Square Garden. That was not good. In fact, Illinois was 0 for its first 17 3-pointers from beyond the arc, 2 for 26 in the game. It was bad. I mean, Cooper Flagg, the star player for Duke, only scored 16 points. It's not like he went off for 55 points or something like that. But, yeah, Illinois needs to bounce back from that. Meanwhile, in the women, no women's action tonight, but tomorrow, Wednesday, 22nd ranked Michigan State at number 8, Ohio State. Iowa is at Michigan, number 3, UCLA at Wisconsin, and Washington is at Minnesota. One other note, golf fans, I'm going to tie this into the Big Ten here. If you watched the Masters last year, former Ohio State golfer Neil Shipley got to hang out in Butler's cabin as the top amateur at the Masters. And now he's headed for more attention because he will appear on the Netflix golf series Full Swing. The series follows pro golfers on the PGA Tour and will feature Shipley's time at the Masters, in which he got to golf 2 rounds with Tiger Woods. Pretty cool. All right. You know what's next? We got our Tuesday tweets. That's what's coming up next. So don't forget, you can always send us a tweet at X, at Talk Big Ten. Something good, we'll put it on the Tuesday show. That's all coming up right here in 1 minute on Locked On Big Ten.